Alright guys, it is Wednesday, September 1st, 2021 at 7:05 p.m. Alright, let's start with a Bible verse. We got a Bible verse from dailyverses.net, the verse of the day. It says, God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in the spirit and in truth. John 4:24. Alright, let's start with the National Hurricane Center. Alright, so we have Ida going over Pennsylvania right now. It says maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, minimum central pressure of 999 millibars. So the remnants of Ida are located at 39.7 north and 77 west. Movement east-northeast at 25 miles an hour. So there's some storms popping off in Pennsylvania and then the northeast because of the remnants of Ida passing over it. Alright, then we have Kate, remnants of Kate, with maximum sustained winds of 25 knots or 30 miles an hour, minimum central pressure of 1,012 millibars, located at 28.5 north and 52.9 west, movement north-northwest at 13 knots or 50 miles an hour. Then we have Disturbance 1, with 30% chance of cyclone formation in 48 hours. It is at formation chance through 48 hours at low at 30%, and formation chance through 5 days low at 30%. It says recent satellite data indicates that the area of low pressure is located in the southwestern Caribbean Sea, has a well-defined circulation. However, shower and thunderstorm activity remains disorganized and displaced north of the center. Some slow development of this system remains possible over the next day or two. It remains over open water while moving west-northwestward or northwestward at 5 to 10 miles an hour along the coast of Central America. By early next week, the system will have another opportunity for gradual development into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. Regardless of development, heavy rains are possible across portions of Central America and the Yucatan Peninsula by late this week into the weekend. So that has a 30% chance of cyclone formation in 48 hours. Then we have Tropical Storm Larry. Okay, so Larry's coming off of Africa. It says maximum sustained winds 60 knots or 70 miles an hour. Minimal central pressure of 991 millibars. Located at 12.5 north or 29.4 west. Movement west at 19 knots or 22 miles an hour. Let's take a look at the tracking of Larry, or the possible cone. This is Tropical Storm Larry. Alright, this is the forecast cone for the storm center. It is forecast to become a hurricane and then a major hurricane as it travels across the Atlantic. It says by 5 p.m. on Thursday, a hurricane. By 5 a.m. on Saturday, a major hurricane. By 5 p.m. on Sunday, a major hurricane. And by 5 p.m. on Monday, a major hurricane will be in the middle of the Atlantic. It says current center of location is 12.5 north, 29.4 west, maximum sustained winds of 70 miles an hour, movement west at 22 miles an hour. So we gotta keep an eye on Larry, Tropical Storm Larry, to see what develops from it. Alright, next, we have the CDC director tells the unvaccinated not to travel over Labor Day weekend, except what about natural immunity? So we have, given that we were with the disease transition right now, we would say that people need to take these risks into their own consideration as they think about traveling. Dr. Rochelle Walensky said during the White House COVID-19 briefing on Tuesday, adding that vaccinated people should wear a mask. If you are unvaccinated, we would recommend not traveling. As with other recommendations from the CDC, Walensky remarks has no legal authority. So that's something quite interesting coming from the director of the CDC. Alright. Next, we have new Taiwan military report warns China can paralyze island's defenses. So Taiwan saying that China could paralyze its defenses. It says it's no secret the Chinese communist regime is preparing to invade Taiwan. The only question is when. A new annual report by the defense minister of Taipei offers a stark reality that China's armed forces can paralyze Taiwan's defenses. It says Beijing has been ratcheting up military maneuvers around the island. The document offered a more alarming assessment than last year's reports, which said that China still lacked the capability to launch an assault. Taiwan's defense minister explained in a report addressed to lawmakers that China can launch a soft and hard electronic attacks, which means China can unleash electronic warfare weapons to degrade communications across the island and communications from Japan and the Philippines. On top of this, Beijing can combine with its internet army to launch wired and wireless attacks against the global internet, which would initially paralyze our air defenses, command of the sea, and counterattack system abilities, presenting a huge threat to us. With these probabilities increasing, China could attempt to seize Taiwan by force amid America's disorganized exit from Afghanistan, which has tarnished U.S. prestige. Allies of the West, such as Japan and Taiwan, held talks about increasing aggression in the Taiwan Strait. So China is pretty much trying to take over Taiwan, and it could do it, paralyze it electronically. Alright, next. The Atacama Desert, the rarest place on Earth, covered with unusual late August snow. It says the Atacama Desert in Chile is generally regarded as the driest place on Earth. Last week, however, to everyone's surprise, parts of the desert were deep under snow. People of the town of San Pedro de Atacama, about 750 miles from the capital of Santiago, were amazed by the spectacle. So they show pictures there of all the snow covering the area. It says the Atacama Desert has been experiencing unusual amount of snow. The cold that came through the region dumped nearly 32 inches of snow on the desert, more snow than the region has seen in the last half a century. The Atacama Desert is known as one of the driest place on Earth. So that is quite interesting. All that snow in the driest place. Alright, next. Flood watches and warnings, severe weather, 50 million people in the northeast as relentless Ida marches on. Waterford 3 nuclear generating station is back up. So apparently the remnants of the unrelenting Hurricane Ida took aim at the northeasterners in the U.S. on Wednesday as potential for life-threatening and damaging flooding stretched into New England. More than 50 million people in the northeast alone were under flash flood watch or warning 4 days after Ida roared ashore in Louisiana as a Category 4 hurricane. The winds had vastly diminished, but the storm was dishing out heavy rain, much of it in areas already saturated by recent deluges. So the northeast bracing and pretty much having to deal with possibility of tornadoes and a lot of flooding because of Ida traveling through it. Alright. Next. The Parana River, the second longest river in South America after the Amazon, is about to dry out, leaving millions in fear. It says the water levels of the Parana River, the second longest in South America after the Amazon, are the lowest since 1944. The river is key to commercial shipping and fishing, but also provides 40 million people with drinking water. A drought in the region means water levels have dipped so low, the fishers' livelihoods are at risk. The Paraná is 3,032 miles long and flows south from southeast Brazil through Paraguay and Argentina. It merges with Paraguay and Uruguay rivers to form the Rio de la Plata basin. The Paraná is the largest, most biodiverse, and most important socio-productive wetland in Argentina, explains geologist Carlos Romanel. Says here, southern Brazil is the level of the river is so low that cargo ships have to reduce the amount of grains that are loaded for export. The Paraguay River is also running very low. As a result, the Paraná's flow rate has dropped from an average of 17,000 cubic meters a second to just 6,200. The low water levels are causing problems for energy productions with the hydroelectric plants that spans the Paraná River between Argentina and Paraguay running at only 50%. So not only are they not able to have ships go through it, food is scarce and water is running low, electricity isn't being produced, so that's pretty spooky. I'll leave the link in the article so you guys can check it out. Also, unprecedented Caldor fires are the first to burn from one side of the Sierra to the other in California. Flames of the Caldor fire burnt homes down. Says faced with drought conditions and record high temperatures, California has hit many grim fire milestones in the last few years. In 2020, California saw the most destructive fire season on record, but 2021 is shaping up to be another one for the record books, with the conditions producing fire behavior never seen before. The Dixie Fire is now the second largest in state history and still burning out of control. The 190,000 acre Caldor fire is much smaller, but now threatens more than 33,000 homes in the Lake Tahoe Basin, as many residents are believed was fairly well protected from the fires. So the Caldor and Dixie fires have now achieved the feat of no fire was known to have burned from one side of the Sierra to the other. Chief Tom Porter of the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection said that before this year, no fire was known to have burned from one side of the Sierra to the other. So that's pretty intense for it to be such a large fire that it goes across the Sierra Mountains. Alright, next. Newly discovered island is the closest land to the North Pole. It says newly discovered island is the closest land to the North Pole. In July, a group of scientists accidentally found themselves on a tiny island in the northern Greenland made up of mounds of silt and gravel. The expeditioners thought they had traveled to the island of Wodak, the northernmost island in Greenland, but they were really standing on a previously unknown island that was even further north, likely making it the closest piece of land to the North Pole. We were convinced that we were standing on Wodak Island, which until then had been registered as the world's northernmost island, stated expedition leader Morten Rack, a senior consultant of the University of Copenhagen's Department of Geosciences and Natural Resource Management. But when I posted photos of the island's coordinates on social media, a number of American island hunters went crazy and said that it couldn't be true. Following the social media comments, the group contacted an expert at the Technical University of Denmark and realized Rock's GPS had made a mistake. Using the GPS on their helicopter, Rock's group confirmed that they were indeed on a new island, which they say is now the northernmost island on the planet. So that is quite cool that they discovered a new island. Alright, next. The Mississippi Highway collapses 30 feet deep, killing 2 and injuring 10. 2 people were killed and at least 10 others were injured when their vehicles plunged into a deep hole where a highway collapsed after Hurricane Ida blew through Mississippi. State Trooper emergency workers and rescue teams responded to Highway 26 west of Lucedale, about 60 miles northwest of Biloxi, to find both the east and westbound lanes collapsed. The hole is around 50 to 60 feet long and 20 to 30 feet deep. 7 vehicles were involved, including a motorcycle. A crane was brought in to lift them out of the hole. So that's quite spooky. Ida creating a lot of damage as it passes through. Alright, next. Mysterious fever kills 68 people a week in India. So we have another 12 children succumb to the mysterious fever in Firozabad district in the last 24 hours, health department said on Sunday. The intense viral fever has swept parts of western Uttar Pradesh, claiming 68 lives, including 40 children over the past week. Most of them reported high fever, dehydration, and a sudden drop in platelet count. Others had dengue symptoms and passed away during treatment. Now, with recovery time stretching to over 10 days, government hospitals are scrounging for beds and blood banks are stretched. A high number of cases have been reported from Agra, Mathura, Mainpuri, Etah, and Kasjan districts, with Firozabad district said to be the worst affected. Health officials told Toy that a few viral fever cases have been reported from eastern UP as well. Situation is dire at the Firozabad Medical College, where 72 children out of 135 are battling for life. over 50% of them have dengue symptoms. So that is quite spooky to hear that all of these children are experiencing high fevers because of this mysterious fever. Please pray for them. Alright, next, biblical. Pond in Russia turns blood red overnight. Dead fish reported. Says a pond turned blood red in Russia. God ordered Aaron to touch the river Nile with his staff, and the waters were turned to blood. The fish in the river died, and the Egyptians couldn't drink. A lake near the village of Taranvak, Atacama District, suddenly turned red on August 28, 2021. The 20-meter wide reservoir was built in the 1980s to drain wetlands. It is closed and not connected with rivers. The pond is fed by ground and floodwaters springs. That is quite spooky. It says the cause of the biblical coloration is unknown on this river's and this pond's turning blood red. That is quite spooky. And finally, Hurricane Ida was so powerful it made the Mississippi River flow backwards for several hours. It says, as Hurricane Ida roared ashore in Louisiana on Sunday, the storm's force was so strong it temporarily reversed the flow of the Mississippi River. A flow of the Mississippi River was reversed upstream as Hurricane Ida made landfall and pushed inland. Storm surge and strong winds from Hurricane Ida stopped the flow of the Mississippi River near New Orleans on Sunday and actually caused it to reverse, something the U.S. Geological Survey says is extremely uncommon. According to the USGS, the Mississippi River stream was reversed approximately 4 hours near Belle Chase, Louisiana, which is located in the Plaquemines Parish. So that is quite dangerous. It says, I remember offhand there was some flow reversal in the Mississippi River during Hurricane Katrina, but is extremely uncommon, reported Scott Perrien, a supervising hydrologist of the USGS Lower Mississippi River Gulf Water Science Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The river level on Sunday rose about 7 feet due to storm surge, pushing up the river at the USGS Gauge in Belle Chase, about 20 miles south of New Orleans in southeastern Louisiana. During that time, the flow of the river slowed to about 2 feet per second, down to about half of a foot per second in the other direction. Alright, so that's how strong Ida was as it was traversing the Mississippi River, causing it to flow backwards. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hit like and subscribe for more news, and see you guys next time. God bless you guys.